Sam, you you're coming to Colombia in this time to something concrete. I mean, you were invited by the Andy del Futuro. You were invited, and you're going to be in Medellin on. This is going to be on.
A couple of days from now.
Yes, on the 10th Innovation Land Summit.
Right.
10th Innovation Land Summit in Medellin. You were invited by el Andy del Futuro. That's a branch of the Andy, Asociación Nacional de Industriales. And you are also engaged with Stargate Colombia, which is your partner in Colombia.
Yeah.
Andres Valencia, you're going to be in Medellin. In this, again, 10th Innovation Land Summit, what are you going to do there? I mean, what do you come for?
Well, I think all these discussions get into past, present, and future of technology and how it's affecting us. It's like we're on a river, traveling very fast, and there's all these technical things all around us, and people are worrying about drowning, and how do we deal with it, and the rapids and all the crazy stuff. There's technology coming at us in an increasing level in all industries. And I think what we're going to be discussing in Andy is how, given that there is this digital highway of new innovations and technology that are affecting every industry in the world, no matter who you are. If you're a gardener, there's a new shovel that digs a better hole. If you're on a higher level, you get up into computing and AI intelligence. But visual effects are like, for me, a canary in the coal mine. They're the example, because the film business has gone through a complete transition of analog to digital over the last 20 or 30 years. We used to shoot on film. We now shoot on digital. We used to edit on machines with film in our hands. It's all vapor now. There's still a camera involved, but it's a digital camera. The product itself is turned into, electrons and data and beamed somewhere in the world. When you watch a movie, there's nothing you can touch. It's vapor. It's a ghost, right? It's gone from being something you could touch to being something. And so the film business has undergone a complete transition from analog to virtual, digital. And other industries, a coffee cup, when you made a coffee cup in 1930, you poured porcelain into a mold. You still do that to make a coffee cup. It's still, it's different machines, but it's still a physical object. It isn't like the coffee cup vanished, right? But you can still have a cup of coffee. So I think everybody's asking this thing of, how is technology going to affect my industry, and how did the film business do it? Because at Stargate, we've lived through this transition by adopting new technologies and integrating them into our creative goals and our workflow. And so the digital highway is the way I kind of think of it. And we're all trying to find an on-ramp to this digital highway, whether you're in sound or whether you're in manufacturing or whether you're in booking reservations for travel. How do you embrace new technologies, bring them in, integrate them into your business model in such a way that you can either have a better product, or you can have a less expensive product, or you can get to your end product sooner, the good, fast, cheap triangle. And if you can do all three of those things by integrating a potentially strange new technology that you don't understand, you have to plug it in and say, does it make it faster? Does it make it better? Does it make it cheaper? If it does all three of those things, use it, right?
Uh-huh.
If it does two of them,
Think about it.
be careful, right? Be careful of it, because if it's just good and fast, it won't be cheap, right? Good and fast is a $200,000 robotic arm. If you're, making this, is it worth it? No. But if it, because the cost of your product is going to go right through the roof if you embrace tools that are too expensive. Same thing. It might be really cheap, but it might be really slow. So then you're going to miss all your deadlines and that kind of thing. And or it might be really fast and good, but it doesn't really get you to your creative goals, or fast and cheap. It would be, So it really is that thing of you have to really understand your product, and then you have to take these new tools and try it and see how it affects your output. And I think the good, fast, cheap sort of balancing act at the end of the day is a good simple way to look at it. But it applies to almost every product and every manufacturing thing out there. And assuming film is just another manufacturing of something, then does it increase your concept? Does it make it less expensive? Does it make you faster to market? AI does all those things, by the way.
Sam, I'm very glad in the name of the industry, in the name of Colombia, that you have been invited to La Andi del Futuro, which is a group of people that we never relationed with this kind of subjects like technology or visual effects. I'm very glad of that. I'm also very glad that you're working that with Stargate Colombia and with Andres Valencia. And I know you've got partners for visual effects of Stargate in Canada. You also, of course, you're in the United States. You also have a branch of Stargate in Malta. But I want you to tell me, what is that bond with Colombia that you have built, and with Andres? How is it like to work with Colombians in visual effects, with all these things like making up the crank and all those things that I know you have realized how we work here? How has that been?
Well, I'm really impressed with the innovation and the enthusiasm, particularly in the youth of Colombia. Andres took me by the universities, and we've met a lot of really brilliant, young, enthusiastic people here. And it really comes down to the people at the end of the day. The culture itself, the Latin culture, is very rich from an emotional and drama. You're a dramatic culture. Muy dramática. Right?
Do we?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Yeah. I mean, well, and
I can't believe it.
so from a storytelling standpoint, that's really at the core of a good story, is that emotional drama. It's kind of like when you look at different cultures. We've had a lot of experience in Asia, and particularly in China and Japan. And, the Chinese are great at manufacturing. Oh my God, they love to get in a big line and make things, and they're really good at making things, But as I say, the scariest thing to the Chinese is a blank piece of paper, right? Storytelling.
Okay.
They've got a very rich culture that is wonderful. But they make the tools, they make beautiful tools, but they can't, I don't think that, I think the Colombians are a very dramatic, emotional, rich fabric of a culture. A lot of emotions running here. It's famous, the Latin temper, the Latin romance. That's why the Latin romances are famous all over the world, and that kind of richness of storytelling is very rich here. So you combine that with a new generation of filmmakers and students that are incredibly enthusiastic. They do relate culturally, I think, to the United States in a very parallel way.
Because they grew up watching movies and
Well, and I think a lot of it is religion. I
Okay.
think a lot of it is religion that before movies, you know,
okay.
the Christian culture, the whatever you want to call it, I did a lot of work in the Middle East, in the UAE, and I loved it, and I was very impressed with the culture, but it's a very different culture than say the United States, the Christian culture. And I'm not particularly religious. I don't, but I just look at influence in art and cultural values, and we are very similar in terms of North America and South America. So it's an easy fit. Part of the biggest thing of doing business in China is learning the Chinese culture, how they do business deals. They don't do business deals in boardrooms, and they don't shake hands and just go like Americans do. It's much more cultural dinner meetings, and deals happen at dinner. They don't happen at in China. So you go out to a lot of dinners.
Do it a lot.
But and I love it. Fortunately, I love Chinese food. But I think part of one of the most interesting things about Stargate Global and all the studios that I've tried to build and all the people I've gotten to know around the world is the cultural experience of
How long have you been
experiencing.
working with Colombia, with Andres? Like 4 years? Probably?
No, it's been longer than that, I think. Andres, it's been